Welcome to the latest installment of The Lion, the Lamb, and the Lawyer. I'm Matt Benson, and today we're going to talk about the various names of God the Father. Lord, Yahweh, Jehovah, and Adonai. We've read these words in the Bible, we sing about them in praise and worship songs, so I thought it might be a good idea to take the time to figure out where they actually came from. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we get to those words, I have to introduce you to something called the Tetragrammaton. The Tetragrammaton is a group of 4 Hebrew letters that roughly correspond to YHWH. Now, we don't actually know how YHWH is supposed to be pronounced, but the best guess of the Jewish scholars was Yahweh, which is understood to be the name of God the Father. You won't see this used very often in Judaic culture because Jewish tradition instructed the people should avoid using the word Yahweh for fear of engaging in blasphemy or using the Lord's name in vain, thereby violating the third commandment. The way they dealt with this problem is using substitute words. One of those substitute words was Adonai, which means my Lord in Hebrew. The Jews used, and I believe still use, the word Adonai when reading the Torah, and use the word Hashem, which translates into the name in other less reverent situations. So that's where Adonai and Yahweh came from. Things start getting a little bit messier when we get to the English language. A lot of the English language is derived from Latin, and Jehovah is one of those words. It's basically the Latin form of the word Yahweh. Jehovah started coming into popular use in the 1500s because of a guy named William Tyndale, who contributed to the translation of the King James Bible. When they were referring to God in the King James Bible, sometimes they used the word Lord with a capital L as a substitute for the Tetragrammaton, but they used the word Jehovah about half a dozen times in the Old Testament, which brought the word into common usage. So, to summarize, this is how God the Father got his names. The word Yahweh is our best guess of the pronunciation of the Tetragrammaton, which is the 4-letter YHWH name for God that shows up in ancient Hebrew manuscripts. Because the Jewish tradition prohibited vocalizing God's name, they used substitute words. The 2 most common substitute words were Adonai, which means my Lord, and Hashem, which means the name. The word Lord is essentially an English substitute for the Tetragrammaton, and the word Jehovah came to us through the Latinization of the word Yahweh. Finally, in case you were wondering, the word God actually comes from the Proto-Germanic reference to a supreme being. Based on when the word showed up and where it originated from, it is likely that the first time this word was used, the speaker was not referring to the God we worship. Before I go, I want to remind you of the 2 big rules of Christianity. Love God, or Yahweh, or Adonai, or Jehovah, whatever you're calling him that day, with all you are, and love your neighbor as yourself. Thank you for watching.